All right, everyone. Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday to you. Ryan here again, as per usual. This time we're on Twitch. Switched over from Mixer. You know what happens. I started on Twitch. Now went over to Mixer, and I'm back on Twitch. Party Corgi crew's all here, so this is where I'm going to be streaming from now on. So if you're in the chat, let me know if my levels are all right. If I'm too loud, if the music is too loud. You know, I'm still trying to get this down. So just let me know. But yeah, if you were here with me last time, what we were working on was a Meetup clone. And we're going to use some cool tools here. And last time I had set up a Create React app. And what I'm actually going to do is we're actually going to set up a Gatsby app this time. And we're going to use that because we want to we're actually going to use Gatsby to build out the UI. And then we're going to use Fauna to store all of our data. We're going to use GraphQL to get the data. And then I think we're going to use some Netlify functions to add in sort of like this dynamic behavior that you would see in a non-statically generated site. So this should be pretty cool. First things first, I'm just going to get right into it. Probably going to try to do a full hour today, see how far we get before we call it a day. So this Meetup clone repo I created last time is a Create React app. So I'm actually going to just get rid of this because we're not going to use this. We're actually going to scaffold our own using Gatsby. So I'm just going to delete this, keep things clean. And yeah, okay. I like how you have to type it in, good security measure. Anybody in the chat, I have the chat off to the side, so feel free to holler at me. I'll be checking it frequently. So, okay, cool. So, nope, that's not what I want to do. So we're going to create a new repository here, and we're going to call it Meetup Gatsby. And this is going to be a Meetup clone using Fauna, GraphQL, and Gatsby. Cool. It's public. We're not going to do a README, and we're just going to create the repository. And then here, what we're going to do in our local system is we're actually going to create a new directory and then link these two. So, all right. So I'm going to make a directory, and I'm going to call that Meetup clone, or Meetup Gatsby. I'm sorry. I like to keep them the same. I'm going to cd into that. And then this is essentially what we're going to do is we're going to want to init git here, add a readme, and do all that stuff. So git init. Cool. So now we have a git branch here. As you can see, now it says master. And if you can, I'm going to blow up my text here in my terminal just a little bit, just in case anybody's in the chat and can't see. And I'll probably do the same in my browser here. So if you can't see anything, just let me know. Happy to change the font size. So cool. So we have a initialized repo. Let's just create a README file here with touch. And then we're going to actually open this repo in code. And now we just have one file. Cool. And actually, I shouldn't even be doing this. This is what happened last time. I should not be doing this. There's a better way to do this. So I'm going to do that. Then we're going to go to the Gatsby docs because we have the Gatsby CLI, and that's actually what's going to be able to scaffold out the beginning of the site for us. So I want to use Gatsby Starter. And so Gatsby Starter sort of like come with some built-in functionality wired up for you. So let me see. So they have two that they create. There's a blog theme starter, and there's also another one that they create. Where is it? So where are the official ones? Quick start. That's what we want. It's been a while, Cool. So I already have the Gatsby CLI. Ooh, maybe I don't. I'm going to install it. I'm on a different system today, so some of this stuff is missing. Hey, what's up, Chris? What's up, Ryan, Eco? Hey. The raid did work. Oh, my window is blocking chat. I moved that right before we started. plane. Let me move it over. Cool. That should be better now. Cool. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna do Gatsby new Meetup. Gatsby. Oh, thanks for the follows, everybody. Appreciate it. Let's see if this works. It might. It might work. And like I said, we're sort of working on what we were working on last time. I got a little information on why some of the GraphQL stuff that we were doing may not have worked. So I'm going to try it again. And my idea here is I want to spin up this Gatsby site because I don't want to configure stuff because I'm lazy. But I also want to try to use the Netlify functions. This site will be hosted on Netlify, and then that can be sort of what we use for our dynamic stuff in terms of interacting with the database and whatnot. Yeah, hey, so Robert, good point. Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I'm a front-end developer at Fauna, and what I'm doing right now is I'm scaffolding out a Meetup clone, essentially. I'm going to use Gatsby, GraphQL, and Fauna DB. And the idea here is I just want to get used to GraphQL. I want to get used to Fauna now that I'm working on the product on a daily basis. And so this is going to be a fun little project for me to learn all of those things in conjunction with one another. And there's some other things I'm thinking of doing too. But this I'm going to start here and then expand upon it. So cool. So now we'll open this. Ah, look at that. It opened it for us. How beautiful. Cool. I'm just going to open it again. Gatsby develop. So this should just fire up our, boilerplate Gatsby app. Nothing special here. Yeah, Link. Yes, I do. I'm standing right now. I have an autonomous desk that I bought when I started working from home. Really love it. It's really big. But I do prefer to stand while I'm streaming because I feel like when I'm sitting, I become a little bit more complacent, I would say. This keeps me on my toes, literally. So, cool. So what I need to do here is I'm going to open another terminal window. I'm just going to quickly instantiate this. So we're going to do git init. Oh, it already has git initialized. How did that happen? Cool. Git status, nothing. Okay. Let's see. Do we have a README file? We do have a README file. You know what? Let's edit that real quick, and that'll be our first commit, just to make sure everything's wired up. Okay, so Meetup clone. I also have this handy markdown preview here. Open this to the side so I can see what I'm doing. So we're doing a Meetup clone, and just built with Gatsby, GraphQL, and Fauna DB. And as all the corgis know, I want to use some emojis, so let's do it. Yeah, I don't stand all day. I used to when I worked in an office. I pretty much stood all day, but since I've been working at home, I sort of switch back and forth. All right, so I'm just gonna add this. Gonna commit it. Say this is our initial commit. Classic. And then I'll add the remote origin. Get remote v. We can see that we've now added this as a remote called origin. And then when we push this should show up here now. It's one of those things, like, yeah, Robert tables. I use them a lot, and there is a reason why I use them. I use them because I find that the communication via text is just like really hard. I've found that in every industry I've worked in, people sort of read what they want. So for me, using an emoji is sort of like a way to signify tone, if possible. I don't know. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it doesn't. I personally think that it's a good way to go. But yeah, I use emojis like crazy. So cool. Okay, cool. So now we have this going. This is our repo. So now we're set up there. I don't need this anymore. Here is our Fauna interface. So this is the application I actually work on during the day. So I have this Meetup clone here. I'm just going to delete this too. This is sort of like leftover from last time. And I would like to just start fresh because, you know. So we're going to just call this Meetup Gatsby, just match everything in terms of name spacing. I'm not going to pre-populate any demo data because I want to do that myself. Okay, cool. So let me open some stuff from last time that I had. Yeah, so it's funny because, oh, what's up, Rodrigo? How's it going? That's my friend, Rodrigo, my coworker. Yeah, actually, the guy that taught me to play guitar when I lived in California, his wife was studying library science, and one of the things she was interested in was like the evolution of language and how sort of like internet culture and internet speak has been influencing how we communicate with one another. Yeah, so I'm just looking real quick. Oh, you know what? It won't be on this system because I was using a different computer, so no big deal. And I'm just looking off to the side because I have some secret stuff going on here. And by that, I mean I'm just like looking up something. But if you were on the stream last time, you saw that I was trying to use this feature we have in Fauna, where you can basically import a GraphQL schema, and that'll sort of like build out some of these relationships between your collections. So I was trying to do that and it didn't work, and part of it was because we have an annotation that I'll show you in a second. Let me see. One of my coworkers was nice enough to dig into this for me and tell me why what I was doing was not right. And it seems that the background music has stopped. So OBS is really playing games with me today. Not really happy about it. Need to get a PC. Need to use Streamlabs. All right. So who was it that could have sworn it was him? Nope. Yeah, shouldn't have deleted that repo because that actually had something in it that I wanted to look at real quick, but let's see what I can find. So we have engineering, GraphQL. All right, well, you know what? Let's just try it again. So what I had done last time was I'd sort of come in here and said, hey, let's create a directory of types, and that directory. Yeah, Robert Table. OBS gives it to me all the time. I had to reinstall the latest version because I'm on my personal system today, and the version I had was the one you had to run from the command line, or else OBS would crash when it started. So super fun. And then the music just keeps dropping out, so that's always nice too. So I'm going to do types, and then what I had done here was I had created a type file for each of the types that I was creating, but then when you upload it into this playground here in Fauna, you actually need it to be in one GraphQL or GQL file. So that's what I'm just going to create like a fauna.gql, and this we'll just add some types in here and then see how they work. So, don't show again. Oh, actually, I do want that, you know? I do want highlighting in my GraphQL files. Let's see how that works. GraphQL. Just look for the one with the most downloads. Oh, thanks for the follow, Chef. Chefy B, I believe, is what Mr. Tables calls you. So yeah, I'm just gonna use this one because it's from Prisma, so they probably know what it looks like, right? They probably know what GraphQL looks like, unlike myself. Chefy B. What's the local mock and testing look like with Fauna? That's actually a really good question, Robert. I'm super new to the company, and so I'm still learning quite a bit of things. So that will be something we can revisit probably in the future. So here what I wanted to do was, last time I had just gone into how to GraphQL, because, you know, that's how I do it. I'm going to learn on the fly. Hopefully everyone in the chat has fun watching. Okay, cool. So GraphQL, introduction. This is not what I want because it's all videos. Sorry, Gatsby or GraphQL. I want to do type events essentially. And so I know there are some scalar types here that I want to look into. GraphQL scalar types. And this is what I learned on the last stream. There's types. Cool, cool, cool. So scalar, let's see. Here we go. So these are the types that GraphQL supports out of the box. However, I did find out that Fauna supports a date and a time type. So what we want to do is we want a date. This would be a date, and it's also going to be non-nullable. We're going to need a location, which I guess this could be a string, and that's also going to be non-nullable. I also want it to be related to an organization. So sort of like on Meetup, right? You know, like, for example, a lot of you know that Demetrius and myself are organizers of the coolest React-Adelphia meetup in Philadelphia because it's the only one. And yeah, we're friends with like a bunch of the other JavaScript meetup groups. They're all really great too. Ours just happens to be like more React focused. But as you can see, there's like this page for an organization that has events, and it also has members. So to start, I think that's sort of what I want to do is like each event is going to have an organization, and this will be an organization type, and that'll be what we type out next. Hey, Link, you know, if you ever want any advice on scaling Meetup, automating stuff, reach out to me, reach out to Demetrius. We're very passionate about that. And specifically, we're passionate about helping other people in terms of getting stuff set up. 1 second while I, real quickly, you know when you're on the fly and you're doing live OBS scene editing while doing work? Oh, Sheffy B. I didn't realize you lived in Philly. That's awesome. We'll have to get together at some point and talk about why Robert gets on his roof during the middle of his streams. Oh, did you? So here we go. So like I said, we have an event, date, string, organization, all non-nullable, all individual values. There's only going to be one of each. This, at some point, could become an array of organizations if you want to have like a joint group meetup, but right now we're just going to focus on this. And then here we're going to have an organization, which I can't spell, apparently. And so this is going to have a name, string. I would imagine this, I mean, it could have a location, but I guess that's not as important. A description, a group description, sort of like what we do. So that'll also be a non-nullable string. Okay, just trying to keep up with the chat here. The best you could get here is if you did the introspection query against production and then tried to use the reconstruct the API into. Oh, I got it. So you're saying like you would try to like get a sample result and then just use like a mock object. Is that what you're talking about, Chris? So we have a description, we have members. This is going to be an array of members, or I guess member. And the array I want to be non-nullable too, because I believe an empty array would count as non-null. So it's like we want an array that always has a value, and when it has values within it, we want them to always be members, and we don't want any of the values within to be null, I believe. And then type member. Yeah, so like I'm actually while I'm following you guys in the chat, I'm still learning this myself and how it works. And so part of why I'm doing this is discovery. As things break or don't work, it gives me an opportunity to sort of like log those, and then during the day, we as a team can go through and try to figure out what exactly it is that's broken, or if it's just me improperly using the app. And if I'm using it for the first time in a certain way, and I'm expecting it to work that way, maybe it's worth us investigating, like, hey, maybe other people will use it this way too. Yeah, Robert, absolutely. So I bumped this a little, I'll bump it a little bit more. Let me know if that's better. Hopefully it is. So we're talking about members again. The first name is a string, the last name is a string, and then they would have I would think a list of groups that they're part of, and these would be organizations. But I guess what we could do, maybe this would be better called group. So we have a group, and then they're in a bunch of groups that are non-nullable. And I guess the list should be non-nullable as well, because it should be empty at some point. Dope. Yeah, so Link, what happens is, or at least what I found out last time, was we provide some relation annotations. So you can do something like this and map it to a collection. So like, stuff, whatever you want to call it. And the reason that wasn't working last time is actually because apparently event is a keyword, like a reserved keyword somewhere in our system. And so while what I was doing should have worked, it didn't because of that. So that was a good thing for us to discover too, because I want to make sure that people are able to do this. Okay, so I'm just off to the side here. I'm just looking for a snippet that somebody sent me. Aha. Yeah, cool. All right, so we got it. Just gonna full screen that. So this is sort of this is what the snippet that was sent to me based on what I was doing last time. So I'm just going to use that as a reference point here. And we can actually close this markdown preview. Cool. Okay, so this collection annotation, one question I have, is that required? So we'll figure that out. Member, so we have first name, last name, organization, or what we're calling groups, and we'll also want to add an email, and we will use that, I'm sure, for authentication or something like that down the line. Oh, thanks for the follow, Yoshi. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody hanging out in the chat. So with AWS Amplify, the annotations like model dictate the dynamo structure. Oh, thanks, Link. Appreciate it. Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm going to try. And maybe what we want to do to avoid that issue with the reserved keyword, maybe we don't want to call it an event. Maybe we want to call it a meetup. I don't know. We'll figure that out. So date, description, location, organization, time, and title. So I don't think we need all that. I think we just need a date, a location, an event. Oh, it does definitely need a title. So we'll give it a title. And that'll be a string as well. Should also be non-nullable. We can give it a description too as a string. Cool. Then we have our organization has events, members, and a name. Members. So group has a name, a description, a list of members, and it also has a list of events. So again, maybe I'll change what that type is called. Link, yeah, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So we'll do this meetup event. Cool. And then I think that's all of our event has a date, description, location, organization, time, title. We could give it a time too. And I believe Fauna supports a time type, so that's actually pretty cool. So we got that, we got the organization, and we got this. All right, and now what we want to do is we want to draw the relationships. So I'm going to actually bring up some Fauna documentation just to make sure I'm doing this correctly. MVP, make it work. Yeah, I just want to make it work. Yeah, definitely. I just want to see that I'm doing this upload right, because once we do this, it should create our collections for us, and then we should be able to like start querying things. And my thinking is that we'll need to put this up on Netlify at some point, and then start working with the functions to request the data. But I do think that we can do some test querying as well, and actually. Yeah, link, I am missing the collection tags. I'm going to add that in a second. But what I wanted to do real quick, I wanted to actually, we now have a VS Code extension that allows you to browse and query your databases, your production databases from VS Code, built by one of the guys on my team. So I'm going to install that, because this will actually be pretty useful for us. Yeah, we don't have an admin secret, so I actually need to go and do that. Boop. And I'm gonna do this over here real quick. Yes. So I'm gonna go in here, and I'm gonna bring this over here. I know you guys want to see the key, but too bad. So create it. Cool. All right. Then we do this. So that's in there. Nice. Close this. Bring this back. Bring this back over here. Let's. Cool. I didn't create a key to the database. I'll figure that out later. Okay, cool. So types. Now what I want to do is I want to give them the collection names. So I'm going to do did you see it in the settings? Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to delete that key. So still getting this dual screen thing going. So meetup events. This should be groups. And then this would be members. Robert, yeah, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it, Link, though. Yeah, definitely not a good idea. I need to, actually, I have a designer working on some screens for me so that I can start doing like secret screens a la a lot of the folks here. You know, Suze, Hinton, the whole live coder crew. Okay, so, and then last time what I had to do was like draw these relationships between the fields. So organizations has this relationship for users. So our members are in a bunch of groups, and we actually want to call them group members. And one of the questions I have here is in terms of, since this relationship goes both ways, it's really like in terms of naming it, who gets the precedence? Would it be the member or the group? To me, I think it makes sense to have it named group members because members belong to groups, whereas that may not necessarily be the case the other way around. However, we do need an organizer, which actually will be one member. That could also be something that we add later for more people. So group members and that. So that should draw a relationship between these two things. Then we also have events. Yeah, so we have a list of events, and we want to make sure that this relationship is group events. Yeah, that's actually a good question, Link. I gotta look at that a little bit more. Let me pull up the Fauna docs. Documentation. Oh no. Yeah, there we go. So one-to-one is represented in GraphQL schema. In the following example, a user can own a car. User can have a car, while a car can be owned by a single user. Whereas one-to-many would be that, so you can have a list of cars that are related. The user can have a list of cars, while a car can only be associated with a single user. Okay. Please note that we added a relationship director to the cars field. Otherwise, the field would be stored in an array of IDs of establishing. Okay. So many. So this relationship here, a member can be in many groups, and a group can have many members. So I think that's many to many. Hey, Will, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it. Just doing some GraphQL typing here, trying to get a schema together so I can upload it into Fauna and see what happens. So this, okay, that and that, right? So that's many to many. Then we have events, and a group can have many events, whereas right now we only actually have an organization can have one group, or an event can only have one organization. By that I mean group. So I think that would be, yeah, Link, I'm honestly not a great database guy. Like, I'm totally a front-end serverless type cat right now. And part of this is I'm trying to I want to learn those things a little bit more in depth. So I think that's the only relationship we need to draw. Let's see. So date. Well, so we have a group, and this needs to be related to this type. And a group can have many events, whereas an event can only have one group. So I think we need to draw this relationship here. Let's see. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, that's literally the approach I take with all this stuff. I don't consider myself an expert, but I do consider myself someone that's willing to learn in front of other people, and even if it makes me look like I don't know what I'm doing, because sometimes I don't. So, all right, let's see if this works. I would imagine it would. I'm just gonna check the. Okay, cool. All right, let's try it. Let's go in here, projects. We're doing a meetup. Meetup Gatsby, source, types. Whoa, looks like it worked. Okay, cool. So that's good. I mean, at this point, it's let's shut it down for the day, right? Okay, cool. Just to confirm what happened here. So we have a list of members, or a collection full of members, a collection full of events, a collection full of groups, and then we have this collection called group members. And I'm not actually sure why that gets created. And Link, maybe it has something to do with what you were talking about, like there being a third table in terms of this many-to-many. Okay, cool. Yeah, interesting. All right. So I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm probably just going to, let's just create some stuff. Let's just create some stuff in here. So easiest way to do that, could do it here. I'm just going to do it in text because we have what we call FQL. Well, actually, let's do a little FQL, okay? I need to learn it. You may not. I do. Cool. So we have a function called create, and FQL is like our Fauna query language, and essentially everything is a function, is what I understand. So create a document in a collection. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay. So I'm going to pull this off to the side since we're probably going to look at this a bunch. It's actually strange now not having the music on. I had some techno bumping in the background. Here we are. Okay. So let's go into our shell. And this is what we call our web shell. And this is essentially like an interactive shell that you can use to query the database using FQL. You also have the ability to do queries here in the GraphQL playground. And then if you really want to get crazy with it, we have a command line utility that allows you to hook into your database, and then you can write these FQL statements there. So I'm just gonna like start. I haven't done too much FQL. So a collection ref. So we have like what we call references, and let's see. I don't know if this returns a reference. Let's see. It might. So built-in functions. That is collection. Yeah, so this returns a reference to the name, and the reference looks like this, and that's how we like uniquely identify things. Link, no, we don't. We actually can do it this way, and let's see if it works first before I say that that's the case. But basically, we're saying, hey, we want to create a document. And so like the records, I guess the equivalent of a record in like say like a Postgres or like MySQL database is what we call a document. And then we have databases and collections. And I sort of think of collections as like different tables in the database. However, that might not be like the right mental model. That's just how I see it now. But if any of the Fauna folks are in the chat, they can definitely tell you that I'm wrong. Not really. Here, let me show. Let's see if I can show you real quick. So the param object are fields described below. So data, credentials, TTL. Okay, so we want to actually. So we're doing this. We're going to say we want to create what's the easiest type we've created? The easiest type we've created probably is a member. So let's do it in members. So Ewan, who's from Fauna, is nice enough to be in the chat and help me out all the time because he knows I'm new to this stuff. So he's saying collections are equivalent to tables except that collections do not and cannot enforce a particular field set. An index is more like an SQL view. Interesting. Yeah, so we're learning all this stuff together. So now I'm going to do members, and then the second arg in the doc says that what I should be doing here is passing a param object. So I would imagine that would be something like this. with a data field, and that's an object that represents the document. And I'm just going to look at this. So we have a first name, a last name, an email, and a group. Ooh. So I'm going to need to figure out how I give it a group, but we'll see. Let's do first name, Demetrius. Let's give Demetrius a shout out. Had a big day today, I think. Last name. I don't think he's in the chat. Unfortunately, I think he's commuting back to New Jersey. But yeah, let's see. And like I said, if any of the text or anything is too small, just let me know. So first name, last name, email. I'm not going to use his real email because then I'm sure all you fine folks would send him messages. So I'll just say Dom@Clark. I don't want to. I hope this isn't a real email address. And then groups. So right now, I'm going to give it an empty array of groups because we don't have any groups created. And so what this should do is create a document inside of our members collection that contains this data object. So let's see if it works. It did. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, so this web shell, it will return. This is sort of the return from the sort of like action we've taken on the database, I guess you could say, the insertion of this record. And so what it's telling us is that it was successful. It's saying that we were able to add a document in this collection. And then this is a timestamp. A lot of the underlying core components of how the database work that I definitely do not understand have to do with like transaction time and how we determine like what records were there at what time. So, okay, cool. So if we go into our collections now, we now should have a member. Ooh, yes, we do. Cool. And this is the reference I was talking about. So if we were to take this number, let's copy it to the clipboard, go back to our web shell and say, I think we should just be able to pass this like that. Back to the documentation. Oh, maybe I need to like do a get. Maybe I can't just pass that. Maybe I need to like say what action I'm trying to use the reference for, which would make sense. So get, yeah, reference to, okay. So now we can do a get. And so we're giving the get a reference to the document that we just created. There's an optional second argument, it looks like, which is the timestamp. So I guess if you wanted to see what the document looked at like at different points in time, you could do that. Right now, we just want to see what it looks like right now. A is undefined. Let's see. Am I typing something wrong? A is undefined. Let's see. Get ref. Oh, maybe I need to do document. Okay. Thanks, Ewan. I'm glad you're here to watch me do this, because so if I do that, is that wrong? Did I do that wrong? I need to look at our docs, don't I? Ref. So schema ref and an ID. Yes. So get collection members. If I could spell. Cool. And then the ID of the document. Oh, ref. Okay, so it's a reference. Cool. That looks good. All right, so we have one of those. Now we should be able to also do a query for it. Not really sure how this works either. query. My GraphQL experience is basically Gatsby. So, oh, cool. So it looks like we have all of these things scaffolded out for us here. We can make queries and find a member by their ID. That's cool. So here we can basically say find member by ID, pass in an ID. So let me see. I don't know if I have to do it in the context of this query object. Still getting familiar with this syntax. Let's see. Maybe I don't need this query because maybe it's not a... maybe I do. So arguments ID, queries, schema. Cool. Oh, cool. Yeah, see, so here are some, like when we created the type, here, we did not provide an ID. However, Fauna is smart enough to provide an ID. As you like sort of, I guess when you insert a record into any sort of database, they should provide you with a unique identifier, and that, I forget what they call that, but the index, I believe. Okay, cool. So schema, docs, let's see what we got here. Let me do a query. And then let's look at the docs. Update member, update group, mutations, queries. Yeah, I want to do just this. So GraphQL, query function. Execution, yeah, that sounds cool. So let's see, is there some sort of like function? So in here, we have find member ID, right? And then we're going to give it an ID. Ah, that's what it was. I didn't give it the ID, I think. Data error, yeah. Field find must have a, get out of here, docs. Must have a sub-selection, okay. ID, ID. Yeah, So field find member of type member must have a sub-selection. I'm not sure what that, oh, I got it. I think it's you have to do something like this and then pull out a field from the member. So like email. Cool. Look at that. Yeah, that's super cool. I like that a lot. I love working with these GraphQL interfaces. Actually, one of the first tickets I worked on here at Fauna was in this area, so near and dear to my heart. All right, so it's been 50 minutes. We have one record. We have some types. We have some collections. We got stuff going here, right? I think what I'm going to do today is we will add maybe a couple more records into the database, and then just confirm that they're there by querying them. And then that'll sort of set us up for next time in terms of like building out the views and also configuring this to work with Netlify functions so we can request data. But what you're seeing here in terms of the FQL is sort of how we're going to do it in the JavaScript code too. We have a JavaScript driver, sort of like an SDK, which you can find online. It's the Fauna DB.js package. And so this is what allows you to basically execute these queries. And as you can tell, this looks very much like what I was just doing in the web interface. And it is because it is. We're essentially allowing you to write FQL here in JavaScript and then send that off and get data back, which is really nice. So Okay, let's do a couple more records before we call it a night. It's Friday. I know everybody wants to go out, to party, I guess. I don't know. I feel too old for that. So we did a member. Now we'll do a group. So we're going to do a group. Yeah. So we're going to do group. We'll copy and paste this just because, again, typing. Aha. Oh no. Cool. So, what was that? So name, description, members, events, organizer. Name. Sorry. It should be groups, not members. Groups. Groups. Okay, cool. And so, I gotta do it, right? I gotta do it. Robert Tables, you still there? Because I think you know that I gotta do this. Also, Ryan Warner Codes, I see you. I see you there. You know I'm doing this. Reactadelphia is what it is. Description, members, events, organizer. Cool. I'm really bad at formatting text, apparently. Okay, cool. So description. And I can make this claim because I'm pretty sure we're the only one. If there are other ones out there, this probably would not be true, but we like to think of it this way. So this is going to be an array. This, I'm going to do an empty array, actually, of events because I'm not exactly sure. We haven't created events yet. The members I'm actually going to try to fill in, and the organizer should also be a member. So this should be an array of members, and this should be an individual member. So my question here is, how do I determine which member? I guess I would probably need to reference that specific member, their ID. So let's see. Because I think what it would be something like this. Get ref. Wouldn't be a collection. Oh yeah, it'd be this. This is what I'm looking for. I want Demetrius to be the only member in here. So he would be get ref members. You, and if you're still there, does that look right to you? I hope so. Okay, he's making supper. Yeah, I guess I streamed during the same time as he did. So the members in the event are many to many. The member events table should have member ID. Oh, so you're saying I should actually get them based on the ID here? Okay, so is that, and that's like the expected way to do it is I'm not going to use like an actual, like traditionally I would imagine you do some sort of the like UUID type deal, but here because we have these references built in, that returns to us. The joining table, so we have this group members table, yeah, and this is, so I guess this is where we draw those relationships, whereas what I would want to do here is not have anybody in the members. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right about that. And you know what? I'm actually going to use, since we only have one member right now, I'm going to use Demetrius as the organizer as well. So let's see what happens. Cool. So now, if we go back into our collections, in our groups, we have a group with a list of members and a list of organizers. So that's cool. That seems good. I think we'll need that at some point. And if we go back to our, can get rid of that, get rid of this, get rid of this. So this is my area of question. So what I'm doing over here on the side right now is I'm actually taking notes. Many to many. And so by taking these notes, it, one, allows me to talk to the people who know, two, look up things and hopefully make me better at what I'm doing. But also three, then it's like perfect fodder for writing articles about, because if I'm confused about it, I'm sure somebody else will be. But normally the many table has a reference to the one table, and that's how it kind of works. The many table has references to the single table. Yeah, Link, you're probably right. I would imagine you are. So, like I said, I'm going to have to figure that out. But this is cool that it works. And, you know, if we go in here and we're just to confirm what we're doing, find meetup event, find group. So we created a group, right? Created this group right here. You can just copy that to the clipboard. And then we're going to say find group by ID. We're going to give it that. Well, let's just find the description. And, you know, I love that. Look at this. I barely need to know what I'm doing, which is, like I said, really fun. Description, email, just all of the stuff that you would need to fill in is there. So we're going to find a group. I'm going to find the organizer. This will be Dom. Aha. Find group by ID. You give it a group ID, and it passes back the group. Our group has an organizer that should be a member. I could be wrong. So many tables, single table, second document. Yeah, that's a good question. Right now, I'd like to know why this isn't working. Let's go back here. Get the ID. Give it the ID. Field organizer. Okay, yeah. So you're used to thinking. I'm not used to like really thinking in this exact way. You know, like obviously I have some background in object-oriented programming and sort of like MVC stuff, but I'm primarily a front-end dev, and a lot of the stuff I do is in React, so there's less of the idea of like these object-oriented sort of structures and patterns, because you like React, you can use a class component, but it's not really a class, so it's the organizer of type member must have a sub selection. Oh, okay. So now this is going to return to me the member, the record, the document, in the members collection that is Dom. And we can do first name, last name. And so this should give us Demetrius Clark. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. Ah. That's my celebration dance for all you who haven't been on the stream before. So we're moving and grooving. We got a member, we got a group, and now we need to do an event. So this is the last thing I'm going to do tonight. And then once we get this to work, we'll know that, hey, we have like a individual record or document, as I should say, on each collection. And we know that our queries are working and the GraphQL is returning to us the data we want. So then the next steps would be, next time, we would want to explore a little bit more about what Link is talking about here. What Link's talking about in terms of like the relationships, the database relationships. So that's something we can look at. And actually, one of our members in the chat right now, going to give a shout out to Ryan Warner Codes. He's actually going to be joining me on the live stream next Friday and helping me make my site look a lot better. There he is. Give yourself a little shout out. I don't have a special emojis to give you there, Ryan, but yeah, no, I'm super excited too. Ryan's a very talented designer and engineer, just all around good guy. So super pumped for that. Okay, so let's do the last one. So we created that. So this, like we said, this foreign or this reserved keyword really slowed us down last time, but it's not gonna this time. So date, location, group, title. Yeah, and this, okay. We're actually this web shell that I'm in right now is something that I've spent a lot of time working on in the past month and a half that I've been at Fauna. And I'll just say that we have some ads that we've made to this that I think anybody who's using this is really going to like. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. Yeah. Link, do you mean like Fauna's system generally? Does it hold the backups? This is like, so from my understanding, this is essentially the, yeah, so I'm not 100% sure how that works. I'll have to refer you to our Fauna site. But if you have further questions about that, I'm happy to explore and talk to the team and then chat with you about it or about what I find, or put you in touch with someone who knows. Cool. There you go. I knew Ewan's got all the information. Cool. All right, so let's get back to here. So last time this screwed us up because we didn't know that it was a reserved word. Location, Philly, PA. We're actually going to say that the group, so we got to go back to our groups here. This is the reference to our group document. So we want to say, hey, give us this thing, ref, collection, groups, and this. I think I got that right on the first time. Wow. Then there's going to be a title. We'll say that this will be React Delphia March 2020. We actually do have a 2020 event coming up, and we have a Twitch channel. So if you're following me right now, hop over to the twitch.tv/reactadelphia, give us a follow. And then what we're going to do is we live stream all of our events, and then we post them on YouTube. So just like I do actually with my stream, this will be on YouTube in the next day or two in case anybody wants to go back and watch it. So I'm just going to say React.js fun for all. That's what we shoot for. Shoot for fun, shoot for inclusivity, and to make sure that everybody feels safe learning, with us. So okay, so here's the last thing I need to refer to the Fauna documentation for, I think, is that we have these scalar types of, let's see, we have types that are like the traditional scalar types that you have here, int, float, string, Boolean ID. We also have date and time. Sometimes group members like group member. Yeah, that's cool. You and I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, we got some what I lovingly refer to as our Scala nerds, who are working hard on making the database, as robust and bulletproof as possible. Some really smart folks. All right, so here really it's like for me, I'm trying to figure out exactly what is the time, a timestamp value. Yeah, there we go. And renders these as strings. Okay. but we want, okay. So let's do this. I guess it would be time. Time is essentially a string. Oh. So time, functions that operate on times or dates. Oh, okay, so this, I got it. So time is a string. Either from the string now or from the string ISO string. Okay, cool. So I always have to look this up. Cool. Just show it to me. Yeah, so I think it's like this. I think. Let's see. So I'm just going to go back and Google this and do examples because I forget this every time. Right. That's definitely not what I want. You know where I'm going to go for this? Oh, okay, these would work. So let's do, we want day, yeah, we want this. So we want year, day, hour, minutes. Cool. So for us, we would do, it's going to be 2020. It's going to be the third month, March. I don't know the actual day, so I'm just going to pretend it's the 15th. And we do it at 6, so that's technically 18, depending on how this is calculated, but I don't think it really matters right now. And then the only other thing we need to do is date. Yeah, and that would be great. I always, for some reason, I don't know what it is. The timestamp stuff always confuses me. We had a saying at one of my previous jobs that date math is hard, and I stand by that. So, cool. And then now, I'm going to look at date. So we may even be duplicating information here because I have a field called date and a field called time. But for fun, let's put them both in there. See if this works. Oh, it worked. Cool. So look at that. We have a date, a time, we have a group referred. That's really cool. Yeah, in JavaScript we have like the new date constructor, and then that has all sorts of properties on it on the prototype. Like you can get, like if I said, hey, const x equals new date, this would give me I think it's UTC, but you can do like get UTC date or get UTC day, and it'll return to you. For us JS devs, like it is sort of a large package, but Moment.js is really great at handling all this stuff, and it allows you to do localization, internationalization, formatting, math in terms of like, when you say you go to a Facebook thread and you see this was posted 21 hours ago, like Moment allows you to do that very easily. Okay, so now that we have this group, I just want to confirm that we can query on it, because that means that we've sort of like set these things up properly. So we're going to find group by ID. Cool. And I'm going to go in here and copy this reference to this group document. And then inside a group, we have an or events, I guess we should say. What do we have in a group? Good question. So a group has a name, a string, members, events. Let's do that. So it takes an ID, which I gave it. Cool. Cannot query field find group. Right? Did you mean find group? Ah, yes. It always gets you. Find group by ID. Find group by ID. Cool. Groups. Ah, it's because I think that was the wrong ref. Copied the wrong one. Cool. Reactadelphia. Let's see what else we got. We got an organizer. Yeah, but we need to actually, that's the thing. It doesn't, with GraphQL, what I'm seeing is like, you don't get to, like if I want this full organizer object, I have to define like last name, first name, email, all that stuff. Because it only returns to you what you ask for. And that's sort of like the nice part about dealing with the data that comes back. You don't have to parse through these monolithic objects of just stuff you don't need. So cool. It looks like our group has a name and we're able to determine who the organizer is, who's a member. The queries have joins. Yeah, I actually don't know. If they have that. Events. So we have events. I mean, we have an array of events. So I wonder maybe because maybe we can get just that list. No, we can't. So name. Ooh, data. So a group has events. Let's see. Oh, hey. My dog just walked in. He wanted to say hi. Banjo, can you say hi to everybody? I guess not. Guess he's hungry. So event has a location. I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, I think this is so the group has events. And I think this is what you were talking about, Link. I think this is where I need to, above I put group members. Yeah, I think maybe that's exactly what we need to do. So this still works, but yeah, the many. Something like group members, group. Oh yeah, maybe that's exactly what we need to do. So we have group members, so. Oh, you okay, Bubba? Sorry, my little dog was whining because he couldn't get out. So yeah, I think you're right. I think what we want to do is we want to do group members. So, I guess underscore may be the convention because I did mine with dash case and the auto generated one did this. Group members is what it's called with an underscore, right? Cool. And then so I guess what we would need to do here is we would need to give group members. I would think it would be called. Yeah, I guess link. I think the thing I'm slightly confused about here is that we did get a group members, but we did not get a group events. Oh, hey, what's up, Hoop? Welcome to the chat. Yeah, so this is the third table here that you're talking about. And I think what we need to do is say, create in the collection of group members. We want to create a record. And in that record, I think we basically want to have a group and also have a list of members. I think so. Yeah, I hope so too. Let's try it out. Okay, cool. So I'll go in here. I'll get my group ref. And I'll say our group is a ref in groups. How did I do it before? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Collection groups. And then we give it the ID of our group. Cool. And then we need to give it a list of events. Get out of here. Get out of here. So this would be an array of events. We only have one right now, so that makes it pretty easy to figure out which one we're going to add. So I think this one is ref collection. It would be Meetup events, and then we give it the unique ID. So this should draw a relationship between that group and that event link. I think that's what we're doing. Looks like it. Looks like that worked. Now we have a new record. Whether or not that solves this issue, let's see. Let's go back to the GraphQL playground. So we have an organizer, right? Can we get events now? No. Can we get the data? No. So it looks like that is not exactly how we do it. Yeah, sorry, Winkle. I switched over to Twitch for this stream just because like most of the people I follow are on Twitch. The Party Corgi crew is all on Twitch, and I just want to get more into the live streaming space. And I feel like if I stay on Twitch, then I'll be more likely to subscribe and follow people and sort of like participate. But also, I prefer the UI. I prefer the UI. Prefer the web app, and yeah, I think it's just a better experience right now. And there's just more users, so more people to watch. But yeah, so this leaves us sort of at the point where I think I'm going to stop for the evening, which is how do we sort of draw these relationships, right? Between a group and its events and members. And I'm sure it has something to do with these relationships. Maybe I did them incorrectly. Luckily, you can override the schema and upload a brand new schema if we need to. So another thing that we have is we should have a list of members here, which is also going to probably, give me the same error. And then, last name, again, doesn't have it. And that's because we have not drawn these relationships yet. So we know that an organizer is accessible because we put that in. We put a reference directly to the organizer when we created the document. If you look. Yeah, so like here we were manually adding members and stuff, but there should be a way for us to do this more in a sort of like automated fashion. So I'm going to look through the docs. I'll talk to some folks at work, and then next time we work on this, what we'll do is we'll draw these relationships, make sure that our queries are running and that something like this would return to us what we need. And then once that works, then we can start actually setting up the data serving to the application. So at the beginning of the stream, we spun up that Gatsby app that's still right here, still boilerplate, still nothing in it. Eventually, we'll start building out these views to consume the data that we have here. And then I think what we'll use is probably Netlify functions to do some of that. So yeah, link. I'm not sure about that. I'll check into it, and then next time I stream or whatever, I'll sort of like get some clarification on that, and we can learn a little bit more about it together. So, but beyond that, this is sort of the end of the stream. Just want to thank everybody for coming out again on a Friday evening. Really appreciate it. This happy hour time seems to really be the one that works best for me. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to hit me up on Twitch. I'm also in the Party Corgi Discord, and I'm Brian_C_Harris on Twitter, and you can reach me there too. So feel free to check out my site. I just posted a new article today in my Hook series. I'm doing a series called Hooks Revisited about further understanding hooks better than I do, more in depth. So I just released one today. If you want to go check it out, it is at ryanharris.dev, and it's the latest article in the blog roll. It's about use effect. Enjoy. It should be fun. There's a little embed here that's being blocked by one of my privacy extensions, but I have a nice little code sandbox too. That should be fun. Let's see. I'll bring it up right now. It was fun to build, so I'll share it with you. So I wanted to use effects in 3 different ways with different dependency arrays. So I found a API from NASA that gets data from the Mars rover of all places. So I just built this little app that allows you to see sort of what yesterday and today looks like on Mars, and all the source code is referenced in the article on my site. So feel free to take a look. And then next Friday on the stream, we're going to have Ryan Warner Codes come on. He and I are going to pair together and work through making this look better than it does. So if you're interested in that, 5 p.m. Friday next week, same place, same time. Beyond that, have a good weekend. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Peace.